Alright, Barakathe Hawa, Barakathe Hawa Shai, Barakathe Hawa Bashem Hawa Shai, Bashem Kakudash, Shalom Mabarakim, Labaka Yarim Yasha Allah, Washani Kabag Gawal Wakab, Zukwani Nawa, Waha Shala Yaki Nawa Yasha Allah, Ba'ai. Alright, call Halayim La Alahai Nawa, Yaha Bashem Hawa Shai. Alright, what I just said in Hebrew was all praises unto our power. Yahweh is the Heavenly Father's name. His son's name is Yahweh Shai. I also said peace and blessings to the elect of Israel, who the world they know as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The world ignorantly calls Yahweh Shai Jesus Christ. All right, he's only coming back to save his elect, his anointed Israelites, 144,000, like it says in Revelation, the 7th chapter, in the 1/3, pursuant to the prophecy in Zechariah, the 13th chapter. So I say peace and blessings to them and to the hopeful elect, and double honors to our elders and apostles in these times, known as great millstones. All right, so we're almost at the end of this thing, and I'm just going to bring out some precepts because we're getting close to the days that we've hoped for. You know, we're getting very close. We got a couple of days here, and then the insinuating days and weeks. All right, leading up to the end of this year. So we're going to see what happens. You know, because a lot of things have been happening. Um, so you know, we're almost at the end of this thing. That's why I put that title because we're getting so close. So this is Second Ezra. I just wrote down a few precepts that came to mind. Second Ezra 9:1. Lord willing, be edifying. He answered me then. This is Second Ezra chapter 9 verse 1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. So the first verse that said, measure thou the time diligently. So right now, we look at the morale and the atmosphere of the people in the United States. All signs point towards the uproars of the people and the commotions that Yahushua spoke of. So it said, when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, and part of the signs that he told us. All right, I'll go ahead and go to Luke 21. Part of the signs that he told us were the earthquakes, all right, in diverse places. And that has been happening ever since Haiti. You know, Haiti got hit with a huge earthquake, then Puerto Rico got hit, and then the Bahamas. You know, the oil spill. You had Katrina. You know, so things like that. So part of the things. Now, what Ezra was talking about was prophecy that even Yahushua spoke of too. So this is Luke 21:8. It says, and he said, take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am anointed, I am Christ. That's what it says. I am Hamashiach, and the time draweth near. Go ye not therefore after them, because you're gonna have a lot of people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that have been going to church this whole time. They're gonna think that they have the way out. They're gonna think that they have the safety. They're gonna claim that they're anointed and what they're doing is right, having no clue of what the prophecy has deemed for America, for these states, whether whoever gets elected in the insinuating days. All right, you're gonna have a lot of them returning and rising up and trying to figure out who's the real anointed. Now, when we keep going, it says, "But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not yet by and by. Then said he unto me, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places." So, like it said in Ezra, Second Ezra 9:1, it says, "And when thou see part of the signs past, which I have told thee before," part of the signs were the earthquakes, and the earthquake just hit something spiritual. The earthquake just hit the Agan Sea, and what they say where the actual deaths occurred were in a city called Izmiri, where it said like 25 deaths or something. And Izmiri is exactly located, that city is located right where, in the same area of the church of Ephesus. All right, so that's super spiritual. All right, maybe it was in the same province or something like that, but it's in the same general area where Ephesus was. So it's just spiritual. You know, these are little things that we look at as signs that the Lord is starting to visit and that we're at the end of this thing. Now, Second Ezra 9 and verse 2, it says, "Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen, all right, therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world." And there's uproars of the people of the world right now. I seen a video today where Joe Biden and the Biden and Harris bus was going down a highway with a couple of other cars following and supporting. And you had a bunch of Trump supporters trying to run them off the road. They were hitting each other's cars like it was bumper cars on the highways. So that's what you call commotion, all right? And it causes traffic jams. You have all these protests still going on concerning the deaths of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that are being put down. You have protests outside of these quarantine centers that are still on the border of Mexico with the tribe of Issachar. All right, this king or pharaoh, if you will, near the new Nero of the modern day Rome, built a wall showing you that he doesn't care about you, and you still have our people, our Native Americans, all right, and Hispanics that are out here that are still going to vote for Trump, and we're at the end of this thing. The Lord is showing all the earthquakes and all the signs in the world, so we know that He's coming. So this is Second Ezra 9 and verse 4. It says, "Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning." That's why they're called prophecies, right? That's why this book is real. This book, it outlines and details exactly what's going on right now. We have to understand that we are at the very, very end. All right, the United States is talking about launching a digital dollar in January of 2021. All right, the inauguration is in January of 2021. A lot of things are planned, all right, for to pop off next year. All right, if we make it out of November and December, all right, with everything still intact. All right, now this is verse 5, 2nd Ezra 9 and 5. It says, "For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest." So the end of this place, all right, the end of this hellhole America that we're in, it's already been manifested. All right, now we're seeing it manifesting in front of our eyes, and we're seeing the revelation of these prophecies that the Lord told us starting to take place. We're starting to see some of the signs that we're at the end of this place. One of the signs is the upheaval in the forward push of the LGBT agenda. All right, the removing masculinity from the nation, calling masculinity toxic. All right, the pushing of the feminization of the man. All right, these things are at a point to where it has to be stopped. The Lord has to do something. All right, the Pope, who is supposed to be, people kiss this man's ring. They travel far and wide just to stand in the freezing rain 600 feet away just to see this guy. He recently just came out and he said the LGBT community, basically he approves of them. All right, now you have the sect of people who call themselves Christians or Catholics. They're upset with this man. All right, so that means that the Lord has to be on His way soon. All right, we have to be at the end of this thing. Something major has to happen. It's going to happen soon. Something major is going to happen. We're looking for a huge earthquake. All right, maybe over there in the San Andreas Fault in California. Maybe another earthquake over here in the DMV area. Who knows? All right. This is Second Peter chapter 2 and verse 6. It says, I started 4, 2 Peter 2 and 4. "For the Most High spared not angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment." So right now we're coming into the time where the Lord is dishing out judgment. All right, there's laws, statutes, and commandments that the Lord issued forth, and some of those laws, statutes, and commandments, death has to be issued because they've been broken. All right, we're talking about spilling men's blood, all right, upon the ground, stealing people, selling them into slavery. So the judgment of adultery, all right, sodomy, all right, bestiality, lying, stealing, all right, murdering, all these things have to come to a halt, and judgment has to be given for these things. Now, the Lord said He committed all judgment unto the Son. Okay, so this is Second Peter, or Second Shemaiah, Second Simeon 2 and verse 4, it says, For the Most High spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down into hell and delivered them into the chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment. All right, because those angels, I'm going to keep reading. It says, And spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly. So he cast us down into these bodies just like he had Noah out there. But what did he do with Noah? He spared Noah, but he destroyed the entire all of humanity outside of Noah and his line and his three sons and their wives. The Lord has the same mentality. All right, he wants to crumble and destroy America's infrastructure and ultimately burn it with fire, so he can save his elect, his chosen, all over again. All right, and we're at the very end of this thing. All right, we're getting close to when them raindrops, and speaking in Noah's time, when the raindrops are going to start falling, and people are going to start losing their mind, looking at each other like, what's going on? All right. This is verse 5. It says, And spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person of the preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with the overthrow. So we jump right from Noah, going straight to Sodom and Gomorrah. And we know that Sodom and Gomorrah was heavy into witchcraft, sorcery, bestiality, homosexuality. They're basically pushing a heavy lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, all that stuff was being pushed heavy in Sodom and Gomorrah. It was being pushed heavy in ancient Egypt. All right, you have a lot of you niggas, you're into ancient Egypt in the Kemetic community. You can't do shit to stop what's about to happen. Now that we're at the end of this thing, you can't stop Trump. You can't stop Biden. All right, you'll half human, half alligator head, oh half falcon, half woman body. Where the hell are those gods at? You know what I mean? And the worship of that stuff. All right, men wearing mascara with a bald ass head, a freaking piece of hair coming out the side. What is any of that going to do to stop the impending destruction that's coming? None of that is. None of that can deliver you. All right. That's why the wrath of Yahweh and Yahweh Shai is going to come upon you, so-called Negroes and Latinos and Native Americans, because He's visiting His people, man. All right, for all the wickedness that has been done. All right, which you and the heathen. And it says here, in turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemn them with the overthrow, making them an example unto those that after should live ungodly. So Sodom and Gomorrah was supposed to be an example, all right? That was supposed to be an outline. Look, you don't do this or you will be destroyed. You know what does America do? They look at what Sodom and Gomorrah did and they teach it to the kids and they say, you know what, this is okay. It's okay to tolerate this. Even though the Lord said He destroyed them for an example. In America, they say, here, you tolerate this and you have to accept this. As a matter of fact, if you don't accept this, all right, we're going to take your kids from you to make sure that they accept it. That's where we know we're at the end of this thing. Let's go back to Luke 21. I want to read because I jumped ahead to Luke 21, but I actually want to go back to it. I know it's a chapter we hear all the time, but it's speaking so heavily right now because we're at the end of this thing. How can we not talk about this? This is not talked about anywhere in the mainstream. You're not going to find this in the mainstream media. You're not going to the churches reading. If the churches are reading this, they're not going into detail. They're not telling what's going to happen. All right, you have the churches. They're pushing the agenda of voting. You know, they're trying to vote in the senators and the governors to try and change what they call our country. You still have our people saying our country. This is nuts. All right, this is out of control. All right, this is Luke 21 in verse 9. It says, in verse 8, it says, And He said, Take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and the time draweth near, go ye not therefore after them. But when ye hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. So even though this election's going on, commotions are going to go on, riots might happen, looting might insinuate for a few days, a couple weeks, who knows how long. The scripture says, be not terrified. Why shouldn't we be terrified about being at the end of this thing? Because we've been speaking about it. We've been hoping for it. We've been perpetuating it. We've been pushing the energy for these things to happen because we have full-fledged faith All right, we're supposed to have full-fledged faith that Yahweh Bashim Shah is going to protect us. All right, so that's why we talk about it so much. All right, that's why basically we talk to each other about it to comfort one another with the scriptures, because Yahweh Shah said he warned us. All right, you got that. There's earthquakes, the chariots are showing up. Leviathan it has to make his debut. All right, creatures we've never seen have to appear, apparitions. All right, more animals have to drop dead. All right, different things have to happen. The chip is already here, and you still have a lot of people within the nation of Israel, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that don't believe that the mark of the beast is the RFID chip. When this is the final destination for a lot of people coming soon, when they start making these vaccines mandatory, okay, you're gonna find out just how much the Most High controls the left hand side. All right, you have a lot of our people. They realize we're at the end, and they think that the Lord is losing. Like the Lord is not in control of what's going on. Like how could the Lord allow Trump and allow these two people to be the only people to vote for in America? You have our people thinking like this. Like how is the Lord allowed? The Lord is the one controlling it. Why? Because he knows that he wants to bring America to an end, and the only way to do it is hopefully to keep Trump in there. You know, we'll see what happens. So I'm gonna keep reading. Verse 10. It says, "Then said he unto them, Nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and great earthquakes shall be in diverse places, and famines, and pestilence, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven." And 2020 has been the worst year for wildfires in the United States. Biblical proportions they're talking about. You know, this has never happened. This many wildfires. You know, the Lord burnt a place called Salaki burnt a place called Paradise. You know, how much more of a sign do you need to see that we're at the end? All right. I'm gonna go to Second Ezra 15. And another thing is, there's a lot of confusion everywhere. There's so much confusion that's gonna heighten, and that's going on right now. Esau's trying to control the narrative. You have the elites. When you go on your different apps and websites and stuff, or social media or what have you, it shows you and it tells you an alert, a warning that there's filters in place so that certain information can get put out, because disinformation, they don't want it to get put out about the elections and what have you. Why? Because there's so much confusion everywhere. All right, nobody knows what's what. All right, there's so much chaos, and that's the whole plan of the New World Order, to cause chaos, commotion, and uproar. All right, which ultimately is prophecy. The Lord is the one generating and trying to have he's basically setting up the left hand side for failure. All right, the scripture talks about you shall fall in the pit that you have dug for yourself in the book of Psalms. If a brother could find that, Babakusha, actually, and put that on here, they have dug a pit, but he shall fall into it himself. All right, because that's the end of this place, really. All right, this is Second Ezra 15 in verse 15. It says, "For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands." So the prophet Ezra, the priest Ezra, saw what was going on. He saw the protests. He saw these Black Lives Matter protesters. He saw these Antifa protesters, these NFAC protesters. You know, he sees these Native American, Hispanic protesters. All right, yeah, that's it. The water. Servant of the Most High. This is Proverbs or Mishalia 26 and 27. "Whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him." And that's what's going on right now. America has dug a pit of treachery. They've lied to the original inhabitants. All right, then they brought our people over here against our will, and did horrible things unto us. This was a huge pit that the so-called white man dug. So now here we are, hundreds of years later, coming up on what is a 47th or 48th, I don't know, presidential selection or election, and this place still can't get it right. Why? Because the pit is just too deep. All right, and everybody who believes in this pit, America is gonna fall in there with it too. This is Second Ezra 15 and verse 16. It says, "For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another." Yeah, there's going to be a lot of home invasions. There's going to be a lot of people roaming on properties in these suburbs looking to gun tote, you know, because they understand that 911 might not work at a certain point in time. When an earthquake hit I think it was back in 2010 or 2011 in the DMV. People were trying to make phone calls. Phone calls weren't going through. People couldn't figure out what's going on. All right, so that's going to lead some people to think, well, now it's time to go to war. It's time to protect my country. All right, you so-called Edomites, you so-called white people, you Edomites, you God-fearing, American bread, American pie eating, Edomites, Coors Light drinking, Edomites, man. All right, a lot of you are going to be invaded by Moabites, by niggas roaming around. All right, before the missiles drop, because there's going to be mass hysteria. All right, there's going to be a brief period where there's going to be total confusion and hysteria, and the media is not going to be able to cover it. You're just going to have to be out there in the tribulation. All right, because we're at the end of this thing. This is verse 14. It says, second Ezra 15 and 16. It says, "But there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their own power." So these people, when they see whoever gets selected, if Trump gets selected, these people gonna say, "Hell no, we not going with that. I don't care what the hell nobody says. I'm packing. I'm going out here. I'm doing what I gotta do to restore the country to how I want it." Then you're gonna have people that, if he does get elected, you have these people that don't believe in Trump, all right, and that are upset that his racist ass is in there, and they believe that, hey, there's no change is gonna come unless I act upon my own will, which means they're gonna say the hell with the SWAT team, the hell with the militarization of the police department and all this stuff. I'm gonna militarize myself. That's what Americans are thinking. All right, the heathens are thinking that, and you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, somehow in your mind, you think that you're gonna protect yourself from the wrath of the Lord. This is Second Ezra 15 and verse 17. It says, "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to." And we've seen that already with the shutdown, with COVID, this planned pandemic. Shut everything down and nobody was to go out. The next thing that's going to happen is curfews. All right, they're going to issue curfews where when the sun goes down, your ass better be inside, or they're going to lock you up, or they're going to shoot you on sight, depending on what the atmosphere is like. All right, see if there's a pandemic, an airborne disease out here, and you're out here roaming the streets, they don't know if you've been vaccinated or not. All right, if you're even over 1 degree over your body temperature, that might light your ass up. All right. So, and they're gonna have these tanks out here. You're not gonna be able to go into certain cities to see your family members, to go grocery shopping, to do your regular routines, because again, it says a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able to. You have a lot of people. That's gonna happen. We're gonna see what happens, man, in the next 48, 72 hours, for the next couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. If these people are really about it, was really, it's up to Yahweh Shema Shah to put that spirit on them, because again, we're at the end of this thing, so we're expecting the spiritual realm, visitations from the spiritual realm to the physical realm, man, and that's going to happen by the way of demons hopping upon people on the left hand side, and righteous spirits hopping on the men of the Lord and the families on the right hand side. So this is Second Ezra 15 and verse 18. It says, "For because of their pride the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." And that's what's going on. A lot of people are terrified right now. You have a lot of people. There's going to be what you call election parties. And what are you going to have again? You're going to have a lot of people crying. You're going to have a lot of people crying. Wednesday morning is going to be very interesting. All right, it's going to be very interesting. You have a lot of people going to be terrified. You got a lot of people that are going to quit their jobs. You have a lot of people who are committing suicide. You have a lot of car accidents. It's going to be horrible. The atmosphere, all right, you're gonna when you go shopping, all right, it's going to be totally different. The spirit, the energies, it's going to be a shift. All right, why? Because we're at the end of this thing, man. The Lord is really doing it right now. It says, "For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." We've been telling this place over and over again, because of the homosexuality, the rape, rob, and murder of our people, the wicked doctrines, the lies that have been told to us, all right, a false hope in this place. Because of all this, the Lord has to destroy this place. All right, He's going to trouble the houses of this place. These people that have scoffed at the truth. All right, we simply telling you the truth and warning our own people, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Your houses are going to be troubled. Yahweh Shah said that. I come not to bring peace, but a sword. I come to set a man at variance against his father, the mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law, the son against the father. So this is the spirit of the Lord sending out a division because this place is already divided. All right, keep going here. It says, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid, and man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword, and spoil their goods because of lack of bread, and for great tribulation. And the grocery stores are gonna go out, man. A lot of people Monday night, a lot of people gonna go out to the grocery stores because they don't know what's gonna happen after the elections. They gotta go get their water, they gotta go get their ponchos, they survival kits, because they don't know how they gonna survive if Trump gets in office. Just the same thing with the people who are for Trump. How they don't know how they're gonna survive without their bug out kit unless if Biden gets in office. All right, now the scripture I'm looking for, I thought I had it written down. It says, give me a second here. The scripture says there shall be confusion in many places, but I thought it was there. I guess it's not. If a brother could look that up, it's in the Apocrypha. It's in Ezra. It talks about how there shall be confusion in many places. And that's how another reason why we're at the end, man. A lot of these voting expect something to go wrong with the voting. That might kick it off too. Might not even get to the point of figuring out who's elected because the voting is all skewed. You might have an EMP by China drop. Russia might infiltrate. They might blame Russia. You know, for a cyber attack. So we're looking for all these different types of things. All right, to cause confusion, or for the demise of America. Ultimately, we're looking for the commotions. We're looking for the mark of the beast. All right, the chip. Oh yeah, Second Ezra 5. We're looking for the chip. We're looking for the seizure of resources and transportation. We're looking for martial law. All right, the water Malakim, the water Akim to the priests. All right, the Kahanim for the finding that for me. Because this is another sign that we're at the end of this thing. Yeah, there it is. This is Second Ezra. Ezra just tells us all about it. This is Second Ezra, chapter 5, verse 8. It says, "There shall be confusion also in many places," and that's what's going on right now. There's a lot of confusion in many places. One, you don't know if a man is a man or a woman, or you don't know if a woman is a man or a woman. All right, you don't know when you see the child. You don't know if the child's ruling over the parent, if the parent's ruling over the child. All right, the fish, you don't know if the fish is real. Everything is farm raised. The air that you're breathing, you have no idea if the air is real because the spraying stuff all in the air. It just causes confusion and breaking down your system. You're watching. You got our people. They watch TV and they watch these ads about the different campaign people, the candidates, and they're actually getting confused about who they want to vote for. And they're looking up information. Oh, is this true? Is this true? And they're totally bugged out, not even thinking that. I'm talking about you Israelites, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. You're spending your time, like the scripture says in Lamentation 4 and 17, looking for a nation and waiting for a nation that cannot save you. All right? Here it is. We're at the end of this thing. You have our people. They're still considering uh, uh, end goal or a resolution to stay here. All right, when this is not the end all of be all. It says there shall be confusion also in many places, and the fire shall oft be sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. And just yesterday, I had never seen this in my life. It was the first time I ever seen this at camp, and just in general in this area. We were talking about how America's going down. We were speaking about an eagle, the evil, being going down, and the duality of the evil, all right, how it's going to be destroyed, but also the evil has a keen eye, just like we have keen eyes. And not even 15 to 20 minutes later, an actual eagle flew by the camp. When you watch the camp videos, you see an eagle flying by. We've never seen that, ever. You know what I mean? That's a huge I take that as a sign and a faith booster that what? That the Lord is coming. Because he said the wild beasts shall change their places, and menstruous women shall bring forth monsters. Usually eagles dwell in like the Shenandoah Valley, Appalachian Mountain area, out in the forest, further west, if you will. You know what I mean? So if unless they just let it fly off from the White House or something, 'cause, we've never seen that before. All right, now let me get this. For Yahweh Shah says, I'm gonna wrap up. All right, not long here. Just something spiritual. Throw some more Frank on the coal. This is Matthew 24, and I'll start at verse 1. Matthew 24 and 1. It says, And Yahweh Shai went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. And Yahweh Shai said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. So now that we're at the end of this thing, expect stuff to just start crumbling, stones to start falling out of the sides of the infrastructure of America, if you will. All right, you already have this duality of Democrats and Republicans fighting against each other, but within that you have different sects and militias that are going to come together and collide. Whether we don't know who's going to get put in there, but we do understand one thing: we are at the end of this thing, and it feels good. Telling you, it feels good. We've been speaking about these things. The Lord literally just sent an earthquake over there to where the churches used to be in Asia, Major and Minor, man, and kill people. So it's going. It's we move. Things are moving right along. We just waiting for another catastrophe or something to happen. All right, so we can get the hell up out of here. All right, the sooner the better. So all praises to Yahweh Bashim Shah Shalom. La Bakayarim, the Akim, Akwatim, Abanim, the men, women, and children, about the mind, while mouth, and sincerity and truth. And Yahweh Bashim Shah say Shalom, peace and blessings to you all. And double honors to our elders and apostles in these times, coming back in the reincarnation. They're known as Great Millstone, whether you want to believe it or not, that they're the true leaders and rulers of Israel right now. All right, and in the Hebrew, their name would be Gawala Rakab. Gawala means great, and Rakab means stone. So Shani Kabbalah come with double honors to you all. And again, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shai, Bashem Kakudah, Shalom.